afternoon and welcome to Tea with Ann Marie, TGIF, to the family out there. Hope you all had an amazing week. It's been a little crazy for me, and I'm sure for many others, but all good, crazy stuff. Last night we had an amazing event as we kicked off National Black Business Month celebration. So shout out to the city of West Palm Beach and Mayor Keith James and the entire team at the city of West Palm Beach for being an amazing partner with us to kick off what is a celebration of Black excellence and Black businesses in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach County. So I'll share more photos and things like that. But today I am going to welcome special guest, Miss Kaysia Earley. And she's going to be sharing her story with us. She's also a candidate for a judge, and she's going to tell us more about that. As you all know, we spill the tea on business, politics, community happenings, and more. So welcome, Kaysia.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. So first of all, I know you reached out to me a while back. I don't even think you were running for office at the time. You were really just excited to share your story of how I think it's from behind bars to being in the, being an attorney to the courtroom yourself. And so I think that's definitely an inspiring. I want to hear more about your story. I think you can definitely, inspire others. But now you're also running for judge. So what a transition. So let's start first with your background and how you maneuvered from, and I don't know, you're going to tell us that whole story, but then to attorney, behind bars to attorney, and now a judicial candidate. Let's talk about that.
So there's a lot to unravel, but I believe that once you know who the person is, you understand their story. So my story started, I was born in the Bronx, and I was raised by a father who was born in Jamaica, and my mother was born here in the States. But at the age of 8 years old, my dad left us. We moved from the Bronx here to Miami, and he decided to leave the family. My mother was left to raise the 7 children by herself. So I grew up in the inner city, grew up where drugs, alcohol, crime was the norm. Teenage pregnancy was the norm. And a lack of education, to say the least, in the inner city was the norm. So statistically, I should not have reached this level of quote unquote success. But as you know, it's through perseverance, hard work, determination. And for me, having a relationship with Christ allowed me to be the first person in my generation to graduate from Howard University.
Did you say HU?
You know.
That's amazing. Well, I'm a FAMU grad, so best HBCU on the planet.
That's true.
Well, no, I can totally understand, your background. So how did you end up behind bars?
Okay, so back to Howard University. My mother, again, single parent, she did not have the adequate finances to assist me in paying for my tuition. So as a true Jamaican, I had 3 jobs. I worked on campus in the library for work study part-time. I also worked overnight at a hotel. And then my 3rd job, in addition to going to school full-time, I was working at a shoe store. So when my friends and family members found out where I was working, they would come to my register, and I would just, discount the shoes heavily. And of course, that was considered embezzlement, because when you're entrusted with the funds and goods and money from your employer, they lost a profit based on my discounts. So anything 18 years ago over $200 was considered a felony. So not only was I arrested, I was, of course, fired, but charged with felony embezzlement. And it was a few weeks before I was set to graduate from my senior year at Howard University. The judge sentenced me to a period of incarceration. And it was at that very moment I had to ask the judge, because my lawyer wasn't doing anything. I told the judge, allow me to walk across the stage, and I promised I would turn myself in. So after I walked across the stage, I turned myself in. So I went from being in a cap and gown to a jailhouse jumpsuit.
Wow. Wow. And I'm sure being, 20 something, 2021, you weren't thinking of the repercussions of giving the family a deep discount. And we know how folks be like, you work there, you do that, give me that friends and family discount, but you're not thinking, oh, this can put me behind bars and in my entire career, as you're just getting started, right? So that had to be pretty interesting. So was that what made you want to go to law school after that, or what propelled you to want to go to law school?
Well, here's the thing. I always wanted to be a lawyer. From the time I was 10 years old, I said I want to be the president of the United States. Now, that was 30 years ago. So I always wanted to be a lawyer. It's because I look back what the previous presidents were, and most of the previous presidents were lawyers. So when I went to jail, I was devastated. Like, I was like, how did I get here? I just walked across the stage. I broke that generational curse by being the first person in my generation, in my family, to graduate from college. How do I go from college to, I'm sharing a jail cell at the time with two other bunkmates. And to add insult to injury, I was also pregnant. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't think it was no big deal. And then I was already mad at the world anyway. But at the time, I called my boyfriend, who's my husband now, and I was complaining that they wouldn't let me take my prenatal pills in. The food is not nourishing my body. So I knew they listened to the jail calls. I knew they recorded it, but I didn't know they listened to it. So the next day, they knocked on my jail cell and they pulled me out of general population and put me into solitary confinement for the health and welfare of my unborn child. But for me, that was like double punishment, because I'm like, okay, I could deal with being in jail. At least I got someone to talk to. We could share commissary. But now you pull me and you isolate me. And I just became even more upset, more devastated. And, but it also worked in my favor because it gave me the opportunity to look back over my life and see what I can do going forward when I get out.
Wow. Interesting story for sure. So you have been practicing law for some time. Tell us about your law practice and how that's been going.
Okay, so
and what type of law do you practice? Yeah.
Previously a criminal, so it's fitting that I become a criminal defense attorney, right? You got to know the game from the inside out. So my law practice, surprisingly, to myself, and I think we're our worst critics, has been very successful. And the only reason I say surprisingly is because it has elevated me to a status and allowed me to get so many awards in such a short amount of time. It did come with hard work. I started off as an assistant public defender because I wanted to give back to my community. I wanted to provide stellar representation, basically at a cost for free, because, as public defenders, we're assigned to cases for indigent clients. But I started my law practice in 2016, and ever since then, I've been named the top 40 under 40, top 10 criminal defense attorney by the National Trial Lawyers Association. If you look behind me,
I see all the awards and accolades. Congratulations. Yes.
Come on, somebody.
Yes.
So the practice has been going well. I've been practicing law. It'll be 8 years, September 30th, if I was sworn into the bar. But in 8 years, I've tried over 100 trials, jury and non-jury. And to put that in perspective, what it normally takes someone 30 years to do, I've done it in 7. So there's no denying.
Congrats. Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, from, you said you want to be president, but clearly now you're running for a judicial position. let's talk about that. What has inspired you to want to be a judge, and what seat are you running for? What does it cover, and why is it so important?
Okay, so first and foremost, I had aspirations to run 2 years ago, but I kind of put it on the back burner because I was just having so much fun trying cases and being a very successful criminal defense attorney. Um, However, in February was more of the final straw for me because one thing about being a judge, you not only have to have the experience and education, but I believe that you have to have the proper judicial temperament. Just because you're in a black robe does not mean that you can speak down to the lawyers, you can speak down to the defendants. And I've witnessed this on so many occasions to the point where I got tired of complaining about it and I reevaluated who I was and what I can contribute to my community. And when I realized that not only am I overly qualified for this position, but I am the answer to this ongoing problem in Broward County, I decided to run. And let me tell you, I have received overwhelming support because I've always been in my community. So me running for judge is just an extension of my community service. All I'm doing is going back to the people that I help and say, hey, just so y'all know, I'm running for judge now. And they have really helped me. But another reason why I'm running is because in Broward County, there are 90 judges assigned to this county. And out of the 90, there are only 6 Black females. That is not diversity. So not only will I be the 7th and hopefully more to come after me, but we need to have a bench that is reflective of our community so that we can stop the issues that we're having in the criminal justice system and in the justice system at all.
No, I agree with that. So when you, so the judicial seat that you're running for, sorry, that you're running for, can you shed some light on like just some of the decisions that come before that particular judge?
Absolutely. So I am running for Group 26. So this group covers county court. So it's like the People's Court. This is the civil division. So I would be responsible for traffic tickets or any civil dispute that is under $30,000. Now, when I'm elected, the chief judge can say, you know what, Kaysia, I believe that you're best fit in the criminal division. I can be transferred to the criminal side, which handles DUIs or any misdemeanor that is punishable by less than 1 year in Broward County Jail. So whether it's civil, whether it's criminal, I have experience in both areas of law. Although I am a criminal defense attorney, I've tried cases in civil, so I have the experience. Put me where you need me because I know that I will be an asset no matter which area of law that I'm placed in.
No, that's good. So how does someone support you for your candidacy? I know elections are coming up fairly quickly.
Yes. So there's numerous ways. We have already started the voting process. There's 3 ways to vote. You can do a mail-in ballot, which the ballots have already been mailed if you requested a ballot. You can do early voting, which starts on August 13th through the 21st. Or you can actually vote on the day of the elections, which is on August 23rd, 18 days away. I'm counting it down. This is a county-wide election. So the entire Broward County residents can vote if they are registered because the registration deadline has passed. But it's imperative. Oftentimes I realize that I've been educating a lot of people during this campaign trail because a lot of people said, oh, I didn't know judges run. Yes, your local elections matter because just because you don't get in trouble, we all drive, right? So there's a likelihood that you will get a traffic ticket and you want someone who's going to be fair. Now, I'm not saying anyone that comes in my court, I'm going to throw all the tickets out. No. But you want someone to have compassion, to listen to the explanation as to why the officer issued that ticket, listen to the evidence, not just say, you know what, you're in my courtroom, pay the fine. No, patience, So I have all of that, plus the experience, and I know that I will bring a breath of fresh air in the courtroom in Broward County.
Well, that's good. Listen, for everyone who is listening, please, and what I see, we have your website before below KaysiaEarley.com. Is that where they can find out more information about your candidacy?
Yes, you can find out everything from endorsements to my story of redemption, telling you in detail what happened and what I experienced during my incarceration. So it's at Kaysia, Kaysia, Earley, EARLEY.com. Everything you need to know about my judicial race is on that website.
What type of for the young girl that's out there, or the parent that has a young girl that's out there listening, whether they're in New York, Jamaica, or Miami, or anywhere, what advice would you give them, considering your journey?
Well, I'll start off with the mothers, because I'm a mom. I have 4 children. And my son that I was pregnant with while incarcerated, he'll be 18 in January. God has blessed me with a dedicated husband, the same husband, boyfriend at the time that dropped me off to jail when I had to turn myself in. He's been with me through the highs and lows. And the basic foundation for us is Christ and having a relationship. For the mothers, instilling your children that they can do and be anything, anyone they want to be. That is not a lie. And I'll tell you why, because when I was 10 years old, I told my teacher I wanted to be president. This is a little girl in the hood, and she told me to choose another profession. And I remember that hurt me to the core. My school was 6 blocks away from my house, and I cried all the way home. And when I got home, my mother saw me crying and she was trying to pull it out of me. What happened? And when I finally told her my teacher said I couldn't be president, it was my mother who told me, not only can you become president, you will. And at the age of 14, she allowed me to move from the inner city in Miami to Maryland, which is right there next to the White House in Washington, D.C., so that I could be closer to my goal of becoming president. So as parents, always instilling your children that they can be and do whatever they put their mind to. And for you young men and women out there, never set limits to what you can do. Never back down because of mistakes you made in life. Utilize my story as a living example. My father left me. I was abandoned at the age of 8. I was born in the inner city. I was incarcerated, but yet and still persevered. So no matter what life throws at you, just know that you can do exceeding abundantly above all you put your mind to in Christ Jesus. For me.
Absolutely. Well, amen, sister.
Come on.
You said a whole word today.
Got to. Listen, what's in you comes out. And my experience in jail, everyone, I felt abandoned. Although my husband dropped me off, he couldn't be in the jail cell with me. Mm-hmm. So it was just me and God. And I held on to his promises. He said, if you follow me and rededicate your life, you will become a lawyer. And I've never seen the righteous forsaken. So not only am I a lawyer, I'm running for judge at the age of 40. Come on, like anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Well, just reiterate, I know early voting is about to start. You're in Broward County. I'm in Palm Beach County, so it's a little different.
Let me tell you.
If you want to give the voters of Broward County any information about where to vote, when to vote, please feel free to do so.
Well, everything you need to know is on my website. If you're unsure about your voting district, make sure you go online, check. The hyperlinks take you directly to the supervisor of elections. My website is informative. It will tell you the voting dates. It's important. Our local elections matter. I cannot stress this enough. I've spoken to so many people that said, I only vote for the president, and that is not reflective of our community. The president is on a national scale. Your local judges, commissioners, mayors, they're on a local scale, and their decisions will affect you or a loved one. And we have to become other people centered. In this world, we can't be selfish. So make sure you vote. Make sure you take someone to vote. Do it today so that we can see diversity on the bench, because it is imperative that it's diversity for all and justice for all.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to, stay with me for a minute because I want to just kind of expand on the upcoming election. Um, this is a very, very critical election year. I know we say that all the time. I know people listen like, oh, don't you say that every election? Yeah, because it all is critical every time. Elections matter. Who we vote for matter. And sometimes there are great consequences based on who is elected. And sometimes it's not immediate, it's over time. We've witnessed that with Roe v. Wade and so many other decisions that's been made on a national level, but right here in our state, decisions that's being made on a statewide level, and as we drill down on a local level. So many people have received their ballots. Why is this election important? This is a midterm election. We have primaries happening August 23rd. So this means that on over the next 18 days, whether you have a ballot by mail or you have early voting that you're going to do, or if you're going to vote on election day, you will be making a decision on the candidate for, particularly the Democratic candidate for Senate, for governor, for Commissioner of Agriculture, and then you have your local county, you have your judicial, you also have state, you also have congressional leaders as well. So there's a lot. You have school board members. There's a lot at stake. There's a lot for you to educate yourself on when it comes to various candidates. So you want to make sure that you go to these candidates' websites, but also go and read upon them, see who's endorsing them, and understand why. And I say that because, people have different reasons, or organizations have different reasons why they endorse certain candidates. So understand why they're being endorsed by different people or organizations. See what the newspapers are saying about them. See if they've been an elected official, see what their track record has been. What have they voted for or against? So you can really make an informed choice of how this person is going to represent you as their constituent. Super, super, super important. As an elected official myself, and I appreciate everyone who has voted for me in 2020. And yes, my name will be on the ballot again in 2022 because of decisions that were made in our legislative session. All soil and water conservation supervisors across the state has to run again. We had to first become qualified because of these very restrictive policies that were now put in place to even qualify to run for this volunteer seat that we're elected to. And as a result of that, which the governor signed into law less than 48 hours before the qualifying deadline to further eliminate supervisors, some of us barely made it back on the ballot. So although I'm not contested, I will be on the ballot in November. So super important for you to understand how these elections have consequences and who we vote for. Now I will, because this is my show, so I can have my own picks. So I do have some favorites and some picks. Of course, everyone, as I stated before, go do your research, make your own informed decision. But I have my picks and I'm going to share some of them. And of course, Kaysia being one of them for judge in Broward County. But I'm going to share some of my other picks. Val Demings, who is running for U.S. Senate. She is one of my picks, and I hope that you will also support Val Demings. We have former mayor of Broward County, Dale Honus, for U.S. Congress. I do believe he is and has always been the best candidate. So he has my support. For governor, Nikki Fried, who is the current commissioner of agriculture, she has my support. And I hope that people will not just go with usual status quo, but we need some fresh fresh leadership in the governor's seat. Dr. Naomi Blamore, she is running for Commissioner of Agriculture. Definitely want to see her in that seat. County Commissioner, running for County Commissioner, Michelle McGovern, who has been a longtime community activist. We have DeAndre Poole for Port of Palm Beach, Alcoya Juste, who is running for judge in Palm Beach County, Marsha Andrews, who's running for school board member, and of course, Corey Smith, who is running for school board member District 7. So those are just some of my picks. And again, make your own decision, get educated, be informed. But of course, I'm going to share my picks and my favorite candidates.
And Anna, I just want to say, a lot of people don't understand with judges, we're nonpartisan, right? So there's what's called judicial canons. So there's things we can and cannot say. So we have to just sit idle. And the reason we're nonpartisan is because everyone says politics does not belong in the courtroom. And I agree with that, because if you're making a decision on someone's life, especially if you're dealing in the criminal justice system, you want to make sure you're not making a decision thinking about what a political party thinks about you after you leave the bench. So judges are the only candidates that we cannot say our party affiliation. We cannot be a part of any partisan candidate or partisan group. They want us to be fair and impartial. And so make sure you do your research on these judges that are running, because once they're on the bench, they're there for 6 years. So please do your research.
6 years. Wow. Yeah. So, and that's the thing. Once someone gets elected, unless they're like horrible, which a lot of times you won't know the judge is horrible because you're not in the courtroom, right? So I thank you for saying that, because it's really, really important. Again, make an informed decision. Even some of this, like my seat is a nonpartisan seat. The school board member seat is a nonpartisan seat. So you don't, know what party some people are a part of. And, really it should be about the issues. Research the candidates, make sure that their issue, their values, their commitments align with yours. Like, that's super important. That's the most important thing. Party aside, you want to make sure that the people who you are selecting to represent you, and you are encouraging your friends, family, neighbors to represent you all, that you understand their politics, understand what they stand for, and does it align with your core values?
That's said so well. I totally agree. We have to be educated voters. Do not just go down the ballot and just circle any name, because you're doing a great disservice to your community. Make sure you can have your phone with you. Google those names if you're not sure when you get to the ballot. Just make sure you become an educated voter and vote down the ballot, flip it over, make sure you flip that page over and vote for every person on that ballot. Every vote matters.
Well, it sure does. We have seen where some elections are lost by 5 votes. So every vote, exactly. Every vote matters. Every vote counts. So this has been amazing. Of course, everyone, again, please, it's not too late to request your vote by mail ballot. You can still request a ballot. Early voting starts, I believe, next week. So you can, look for your early voting locations. You can take your ballots to those locations, as well as vote in person at those locations. The hours are on the Supervisor of Elections website for both Broward County, Palm Beach County, if you're in Miami-Dade County as well, or anywhere in the state of Florida, and you're tuned in. That information for our Florida primary is on the Florida's election site, but also on your local Supervisor of Elections website. And just make sure August 23rd, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., polls will be open. And it's super important. Redistricting has happened. So let me add this. Redistricting has happened, which means that your precinct number may have changed. So make sure you look up your voter information. Make sure you know where to go vote and what you need to have with you to vote. Your precinct number may have changed because of redistricting. So please look up your precinct information. Make sure you know exactly where you're supposed to go and vote, so that you don't have any issues. Plan in advance. We all, are working or have things going on. So plan in advance for you to go cast your votes as well. So very important that you just do those things and get out and vote. We can't sit home. We can't sit on our hands. It's super important that each person goes and vote in this upcoming primary. And then, of course, we'll be back at it again for November once we get through these primaries. So
let me just say this real quick. Number one, for this primary, because it's only one other person in my race, once I get 50% plus one, I don't have to do that runoff. So this is why you have to vote in August. We're not going all the way to November. And if you can't remember my last name is really simple, Earley. So vote early for Earley.
I love it. Vote early for Earley. And that can be by mail or early voting, or just get there early on election day. Well, thank you so much, Kaysia. Everyone who's tuned in, make sure to follow me and also check out my website, AnnMarieSorrell.com. Of course, my companies, mosaicgroup.co, cannabiziac.com, and make sure you visit KaysiaEarley.com to learn more about her candidacy and her story. And thank you, Kaysia, for sharing your story with us today. So inspiring, and all the best in your candidacy. I'll be watching, and I'm looking forward to you being the next judge, the 7th Black woman judge of Broward County. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone for tuning in with Tea with Ann Marie. And until next time, make sure you stay well and have an amazing weekend.
I love